Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Jim Masters Show, entertainment, lifestyle, variety talk show series. Hope everybody's doing well. Look at your screen. We have a comedy legend joining us here, brilliant magician and actor, legendary stand-up comedian, magician and actor. Jeff Altman is joining us here on the Jim Masters Show. Yes, it's going to be an extraordinary conversation, laughs, and so much more. Of course, you have seen him in a lot of different things over the years. Of course, many years on the David Letterman show. I mean, one of the most prolific guests in terms of being on Letterman, but so many incredible stand-up comedy routines and incredible hours on film and television and so much more. There he is, of course, on Letterman. Countless commercials. He truly is an American treasure when it comes to comedy and magic and so much more. He makes his home in North Carolina. That's right. No, he's not in New York. He's not in LA. He's not in Nashville. He's in North Carolina. There's so many shows, so many incredible things. You probably remember some of what we're showing you here might even bring back a memory or two. Remember this series? Yes, we'll talk about that and lots more. Of course, Nurses on NBC. Is this triggering some great memories for you as well? What about The Drowning Pool in 1989? That movie. Or Dukes of Hazzard. That's right. Yeah, he had a role on Dukes of Hazzard as well. And it's really incredible when you think about it. We will discuss this as well. All the cool things that he's been a part of. He, again, truly has been around for a number of years, and he's a beloved comedian and magician. Magic is a big, big part of his life as well. If you're somebody who knows him, you know, from his appearances on Letterman and all the years on Letterman and doing everything else when it comes to comedy, his magician skills are extraordinary, and his sleight of hand is absolutely amazing. And again, this is something he's done for a long time. For most of his life, Jeff resided in LA, where he was a sought-after stand-up comedian, as well as accomplished actor, starring and guest starring in TV shows like The Dukes of Hazzard, Nurses, Baywatch, Night Court, The Tonight Show, plus many others. And in his career, Jeff has started over 30 national commercial campaigns where he represented such companies as Budweiser and Arby's, Panasonic, General Motors. His movie credits include American Hot Wax, Easy Money, Highlander 2, Soul Man, and Doin Time. And of course, over 40 appearances on The Late Show with David Letterman. Now, because of the strangest of love stories, Jeff has moved to Central North Carolina, focusing on his lifelong love of sleight of hand card magic. Growing up in Syracuse, New York, Jeff's love of card magic was instilled in him at an early age, as his dad, Arthur Altman, was one of the finest card handlers in the country. And it wasn't long before Jeff, as a young boy, began fiddling with a deck of cards. And somehow, despite some of his strange behaviors, Jeff was accepted into Johns Hopkins University to study social and behavioral sciences. How apropos, and then to go into comedy. I mean, it makes sense. And during his time in Baltimore, Jeff became close friends with cardman extraordinaire Frank Thompson. After graduating from college, Jeff immediately set his sights on Hollywood and the world-famous Magic Castle. And it was during this time at the castle, Jeff was able to meet and befriend such greats of Steve Freeman and Ricky Jay, and the greatest of them all, Professor Dai Vernon. And as his close friend David Letterman has said, if the magic is gone out of your life, call my friend Jeff Altman. Close-up card handling at its finest. If you're not amazed and delighted, you may need a full neurological workup. He could do that too. He's really amazing and really, really class act. And we're so excited. Hey, we want to show you something here. We've got a couple of things that we're going to show you as well throughout the show. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Jim Masters here reporting for duty, your host and producer. And it's so great to see everybody. If you'd like to comment while the show is on, we have our JMS Lovely chat room. It's open and available for you right now. You can comment in the chat room when you subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Jim Masters TV. The JMS Lovely chat room is open and available. You guys like to chat in the room, say hello to each other. We might even see some of your comments too as well, which we really appreciate. So make sure that you do that, and you can be a part of the show, part of our Lovely Squad, as we call it here on the Jim Masters Show as well. Happy holidays, everybody. At the time of this broadcast, it's holiday season time. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope your holidays are going well. and it's really awesome to have you here. Don't forget, you can binge watch hundreds of episodes with amazing guests from Broadway and Hollywood, television, film, music, stage, culinary arts, sports, comedy, inspiration, everything you can think of, whatever we can throw at you. We deliver here on the Jim Masters Show, Entertainment Lifestyle Variety Talk Show series. So hope your holidays are going well. If you want to comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's something exclusive for the subscribers of our YouTube channel. Takes a village, helps us grow, gang, when you do that. And we really appreciate it. We've been doing show after show, having such a good time with all of you, bringing these shows to you. And we really appreciate all the love and support that you've been sending our way as we've been presenting these shows. Got a really cool clip here of Jeff when he was on David Letterman. And I believe this is when he was on NBC. We've got a couple of cool things we're going to show you throughout the conversation. Before we welcome him to the show, live and direct from North Carolina, take a look at this funny clip from Letterman.
Thank you, Paul. Our next guest, folks, a very funny gentleman who is a frequent visitor to this show. And recently he has been turning up nude at Renaissance fairs all over the country. He will be back here in New York City at Caroline's at the Seaport from September the 10th through the 13th. Please welcome Jeff Altman. Doing a little Johnny, huh?
Paul is not here tonight. Anton is here tonight.
Okay, Anton is here.
He always does that. He could actually make an embarrassing noise and you'd never hear it. Whoa.
Well, that's very nice. That's very nice.
Yeah.
How you been? What are you doing? What's going on?
I'm not a boy.
No?
I'm not a man.
No.
I'm a boy man.
Oh, God. You having a good summer?
Terrific. We went away. We went to Europe.
When you say we?
My wife and Leslie and I went to Europe, and it was just problems from the very beginning. I got back to Kennedy. I was like, I kiss you like my son.
Happy to be back.
Oh God, it's terrible. It's horrible over there. It's
really horrible.
Well, it's not horrible. My way of communicating with people is trying to get them to laugh, and I got no laughs. It was like I was like Rodney Dangerfield,
Tough, rough, everywhere, crowds, tough.
So you should have felt right at home. But seriously,
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I got on the plane, and the minute I hit them, from the time I hit the plane, the flight attendant, we had this crew guy. He hated me, and he was trying to serve us.
The steward.
The steward. I got on. He gave me a look the minute I get one. Like, he gave me a little look, and then I was kind of, he was indifferent to me the whole time. Then I tried to play a trick on him at the end. I told him I was a first-time flyer, and at the end, we're coming into Frankfurt, Germany at about 3,000 feet. I look at him like I'm panicked, and I just go, we're losing altitude. We're losing altitude. And I swear to God, he walks by and he just goes, we're landing. So we get to Switzerland, and we have about 9 stops. We use this guy who has us driving like maniacs, Is it left? Is it right? Look at the map!
Yeah.
And we're driving through Switzerland, and 10 different hotels. And you get to each hotel, and these people in Switzerland are very, very businesslike, You check in, 2 towels. You get 2 towels only. 2 towels all day, that's all. No phone calls. Phone is very expensive, $200 a minute. And we get bossed around day out for about the first 3 days, and finally I just said to my wife, I said, this is enough of this crap. I've had it, I said, we have to take the offensive. So I found out that the Swiss are very, very sensitive to legends and myths, scary tales.
An important part of their culture?
I guess so, but they have this kind of fear, and so I began to go to each hotel now. As I would go to the new hotel, I would be introduced as Jeff Altman, the dog man of Chamonix. Followed by lots of aberrant behavior and barking.
And you check in like that.
I would check in, and because we had just had enough, we had been polite enough. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. I said, no, I am the dog man, Hund Mensch aus Chamonix. And eventually these people began to be intimidated, and I would call up, I'd say, oh, look, man, I got to have more than 2 towels. It's my wife, and they say, I'm sorry, Mr. Altman, it's only 2 towels. You don't understand, I need 2 towels. They're coming right up. They're coming right up.
How was the food? You enjoyed the food?
Terrible.
Yeah.
Just the food is good, but it's this nouvelle,
Cuisine?
Nouvelle cuisine is very small, and the portions are.
And you know I'm a big man.
Oh, you're a big guy.
I'm big and big in the saddle.
Yeah, that's right.
And these people. This guy comes by. We were staying in one hotel for 5 days in Grindelwald. And this guy came by each night, and he'd say, well, tonight I suggest maybe you have some veal, some seals, some eels, something very nice. Something to...
I said, look, pal, look, you don't understand. I want something sweet and meaty.
So he says, well, you want the beef medallions of beef.
Yeah.
So I wait about an hour, and this little fly with a mustache brings me back 2, and I'm not kidding you, they were 50-cent piece size.
Tiny little
They look like the
slices.
child's portion at White Castle.
Yeah.
And so he just says, oh, this is it. This is delightful. And I said,
Wait a minute. Wait, hold on, pal. I said, look, I'm a big man from America. I'm a big guy on the move. I want a butt steak. An 18-pound butt steak, thick, rare, sweet, and meaty.
And this woman sitting behind me who looked like Margaret Thatcher, I swear to God, she stood up to it. Oh, he is an animal. He is an animal. And the waiter went, yes, he is the dog man of Chamonix.
The dog man. So you're back, you had a great time, and everything's good.
Well, we had a terrific time.
Yeah. If you ever get a chance, by the way, to go to dinner with Jeff Altman, don't pass it up. It's like a day at the beach. Let's see, you're going to be at Caroline's again.
Yeah, I'll be there, and I'm hosting, hosting.
Friday night videos in September.
Sometime in
They
September.
ever have that problem with the oysters taken care of at Caroline's? I know, didn't they get a truckload of bad oysters for a while?
I guess something about
It's all gone.
some guy in the corner going, please help me.
All right. Nice to see you again, Jeff.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks for being here. We got to pause. We'll be back for News Guy Time.
And here he is in the flesh. The one and only Jeff Altman here on the Jim Masters Show. Sort of takes you back a little bit when you see that, Jeff, huh?
It sure does. I did that show, and then I didn't work since Gunsmoke. Yeah, it's always great doing the Letterman show. He's just a terrific guy, and we always have fun.
Now, how did that happen? How did that relationship with Dave start? And how did you guys get brought together? I mean, over 40 times you were a part of that legendary, iconic entertainment talk show series. And really incredible.
Well, thank you. Actually, Dave and I started out at the Comedy Store together back in the mid-'70s. And I was only 12.
Of course.
We had a great time together. We became friends almost instantly. We started playing racquetball together, and we'd do different things. He'd pick me up in his truck, and we'd go down and get some food or whatever. But we became fast friends, and then I got my wonderful show before he did, actually on NBC, called Pink Lady and Jeff, which lasted 15 minutes. He was on 33 years.
Pink Lady and Jeff.
Oh,
yes. Tell us about that iconic moment in your life.
Oh, boy.
What was the premise for those who aren't familiar with it? Of course, I knew about it, but working in TV. But for those who didn't know about this this show and what the concept was it this through Sid and Marty Krofft? And
Yes, it was.
they had hours that they needed to fill and to use, and they put this together.
They did. Fred Silverman got the idea. These girls, me and Kay, Pink Lady, were like the Beatles in Japan. I mean, literally, they were big time. And he felt if he could marry the girls in American television, he would have a super hit on his hands. Well, as you can see from the pictures, this was not the finest show. In fact, it was the 35th worst rated show in the history of television.
Wait, you mean moments like this didn't make it a hit?
Yeah, they were brilliant. There's me and Bobby Vinton.
In a hot tub?
In a hot tub. Yeah. We
That didn't make it number one?
no, we were pressed for material.
Literally.
Yeah.
That is funny. The Lost in Space robot. And I mean,
my gosh.
yeah, huh?
There I am with Sid Caesar. Now that was fun. That was
Sid
really,
Caesar.
And they're I think in the
Larry Hagman.
Larry Hagman.
Yeah.
Some of the guests on the show were tremendous. But the basis of the show, just two girls that couldn't speak English and me, just didn't kind of make it in the ratings, and thus we got canceled after the 5th show.
They probably didn't know a lot of the guest stars either, right? I'm sure as they came through, they weren't familiar with these names of these legends that came through.
That's right. Jerry Lewis was one of them, and as I say, Sid Caesar there, and others that were just great talent, you know.
Yeah. What were the years that this or the years, but what time period did it air? You know, what was the year? What was the day?
It started, I think we did the pilot in 1979, and the pilot aired or didn't air. We didn't air the pilot, but the first show aired, I think, in the summer of 1980.
Yeah, 1980. Yeah.
So that was 42 years ago, if you can believe that.
So then after that, you didn't work since Gunsmoke.
You the man on that one.
I tell you. But there were others, you know, that like Nurses was another one on NBC. You know, tell us about that. People that, you know, follow the television shows.
It was just a really well thought out, I thought, little sitcom about nurses in a hospital. And everybody had a different character and a different sort of moniker and a different personality. And it was a nice show to work on. I made some friends, and it was a lot of fun.
You also got a chance to be in the Dukes of Hazzard. And when that call came, that was a good one, huh, Jeff?
Yeah, that was, as a matter of fact, I started doing that show in 1980. And the night that Pink Lady aired, they ran an episode of Dukes of Hazzard where I was the guest star as Huey Hogg, which I came back and did many, many times over the years that they were on, I think 7 years.
Yeah. What was it like working, you know, on that series? That must have been a lot of fun.
It was the best. It was just great. They had, the directors were directors that had worked with, in productions like The Lone Ranger, the original one. So the directors weren't young; they were old guys that knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
and it was just a lot of fun. It was really a terrific show, and I had one of the best things that ever happened to me in show business happened on that show. I was filming, and I was doing a card trick with Boss Hogg, and when they finished the sequence, the crew, they said wrap the show, and the crew gave me applause, and I'll never forget that.
Wow, that's cool, huh?
That was really neat.
That's really an epic
and the guys were great. Bo and Luke were terrific, and
Tom Wopat and John Schneider.
Yeah, Tom and John, were great. And of course, Daisy is Catherine Bach, and Sorrel Book as my Uncle Boss, and it was just a terrific show. I couldn't say enough good things about it. I really had a great time.
You know, you had an opportunity to be, you know, different movies and things of that nature. People, of course, know Doin Time too. How did that opportunity come for you, Jeff?
Ooh, there's one no one saw. You have to go on YouTube, I think, to pick that up. It was the only movie I ever starred in, and Jimmy Walker was in it, and
Jimmy Walker,
and lots of other people, and
and
who were recognizable at the time, and we just had one of the guys in there was the, I think, the schoolmaster or something on Animal House, John Vernon, I think his name.
Oh yeah,
he's standing there with his cigar all bent. And it was a lot of fun. It was a great movie. We did it over about 4 weeks, and as I say, you go on YouTube, you can see it. There's some laughs in it, but it certainly wasn't Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, what about the drowning pool in '89?
Well, actually, Jim, that is a shot from Baywatch.
Oh, that is Baywatch.
Yeah, that's Baywatch. And
Wow.
that girl's about to fall into my arms.
That's probably
And
the episode. Yeah, that's around '89, isn't it?
that could have, yeah, probably was 89.
Yeah.
I did 5 or 6 episodes of that show where I was the guest star, and each time I played a different character.
Okay, so that's probably the drowning pool is probably the episode name for that episode of
I think that's
Baywatch.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
that was the episode name. So, what was it like being on Baywatch? Talk about versatility and variety, Jeff.
Well, it was the blood all rushed to the center of my pants on that show. But it's just one beautiful girl after another, and it was a lot of fun. And the guys and girls that starred in the show were terrific, and the guys that did the show were friends of mine. I had a great time doing it. It was a lovely experience.
You also was, the weather wizard, and this was cool because this was for something quite special, right? The Legends.
The Legends. I was the weather wizard.
Superheroes. Yeah.
Legends of the Superheroes. That was on ABC, I think, in 1978. There I am, dressed up like I had some sort of bad cold.
What was that like being a part of that too?
It was fun. There was a lot of, as I say, great stars on the show. Actually, Batman and Robin were really on the show.
Burt Ward was on recently. Yeah,
there's Burt right there.
Yeah,
and let's see who else. That guy right up there is. He was an impressionist. I'm going blank on his name. but lots of wonderful people. It was. I was dating my first wife when this show was being shot, and I remember I wanted to get off the set as quick as possible and get home to my girlfriend at the time.
Yeah, but the cool experience to
Yeah, it was neat
to be enjoying it with all the others. But magic really for you was first, right? And your father, a great influence. Tell us about your dad and how his influence really put you in the direction first. I mean, a lot of people know you for the comedic talent, but the magic is pretty extraordinary as well. And your dad, of course, a tremendous source of inspiration growing up.
He was. I've been lucky in my life, Jim, to have known some of the greatest card men who ever lived. I'm just old enough to have gone back and far enough in time so that I was able to meet Slidini, Dai Vernon, who was considered the greatest sleight of hand artist of the 20th century, my father, and on, Steve Freeman, who was probably the best card man of my generation, Ricky Jay, who was very famous. You probably have heard of Ricky Jay. I don't know. Well, anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And many other people. But I will say this, the kids that are coming up now, in their 20s and 30s are doing things that are just unbelievable, unimaginable when I first started off. And so I have to go back and relearn.
So when you first started off, what was that like for you? How did you get the opportunity? When did people start really noticing you? And what were some of the first opportunities that started coming your way, Jeff?
Well, as I say, my father taught me a fair amount of sleight of hand before I actually got out of high school. And then I got down to college in Baltimore. And I met a fellow named Frank Thompson, who has become more famous and posthumously maybe than he even was in life, because he was kind of an underground card guy that not a lot of people knew about. Now he's very famous. He passed away in the late 70s, but he was a great friend of mine and a tremendous card handler. There were also 2 other guys. One was Howie Schwartzman, and the other was I'm going blank again. There was a third guy down there in Baltimore. Howie and Frank were really my big influences down there. And so by the time I graduated from college, I was pretty fair with the deck of cards. And I thought to myself, well, maybe I could go out to California and become, a funny card guy.
Yeah.
So I went to the Magic Castle, and I realized that if I was going to be doing card tricks for the rest of my life, I might not have that much of a career. So I started doing other things, but I never actually put together a real comedy show for the Magic Castle, although they have asked me several times to perform there.
So, the comedy, I mean, your timing has always been brilliant, and the content, the material. When did you really also start to make that a big thrust of your career, the comedic part of it all?
Well, the comedy started in 1974. It was when I drove out to California, and there was a little place called the Comedy Store. And of course, now everybody's heard of the Comedy Store. But back then it was kind of underground again, and it wasn't on everybody's bucket list to visit. But slowly and surely, people started coming out. Jay Leno came out, David Letterman came out, Johnny Witherspoon was there, George Miller, and a lot of other guys. Oh my goodness, look at that guy, and lots of other people who had matriculated from the East Coast to the West Coast. And the Comedy Store in the 70s started to become sort of the mecca for comedy as we know it today, and still is.
How does one matriculate from the East Coast to the West Coast? Can you tell us how that works?
You have your choice. That's the only big word I know, so I thought I didn't know. So you either get in.
Do you have any photos that we could see of people matriculating from the East to the West Coast?
I'm matriculating right now.
No covered wagons here, folks. We're talking matriculating.
Get in your car, get on a plane, get on a train, move from New York to Los Angeles. There it is in a nutshell.
There it is in a nutshell. What would you consider, well, even before I think of that, who are some of the folks in the comedy world that inspired you over the years coming up the ranks, as you were coming up the ranks?
Well, as I said, I'm old enough, so I was lucky enough to have met some of those people. And I think the guy maybe who influenced an awful lot of people was my favorite comedian, and that was Jonathan Winters.
Oh, yeah.
And Jonathan Winters was in a class by himself. I don't know if I can use any language on this show, but I'd like to give you a quote that Bill Cosby once told me. So get ready with the button. Bill Cosby once told me when I was on the first show I ever got on television was in 1976, and it was called Cos. And that was the first time I was ever on TV, on a television show. And we were discussing comedians, and Bill said to me, he says, you could take all the comics in the world and have them come up on stage and do their best 5 minutes. And then Jonathan Winters would come up and make them all look like assholes. So Jonathan Winters was the funniest person I ever saw.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got to do a special with him in 1989 with myself, Louise Duarte, and Franklin Ajayi, who now lives in Australia, who was one of the funniest guys that I ever knew. Yeah. And Jonathan Winters hosted it and then did some time himself. And we had this little special called Jonathan Winters and Friends. And it was on, I think, one of the first things Showtime aired.
Yeah. What was it like, working with a Jonathan Winters? He was just
unbelievable. You could only understand about 50% of what he said.
Yeah.
You'd be talking to him and he'd say, I was out at NBC the other day, and this 26-year-old kid walks up to me and says, what have you been doing lately? And so he was just, as I say, he would be talking about something, and then he would say, it's not like Korea, though. When I was in Korea, man, there was a lot of gunshots, a lot of flames, and you'd say, well, I don't understand the reference, Jonathan. He says, yeah, you don't get a lot of what I'm talking about, do you? He's just as funny as could be. And I think not only myself, but David Letterman and certainly Robin Williams was influenced by Jonathan. And then I got to know Richard Pryor, and I got to know George Carlin, and both those people were influences. as well as Letterman. I mean, we were contemporaries, but David influenced me quite a bit. And also a fellow named Tim Thomerson. Now, that name may not ring so vividly to a lot of the people who were watching the show, but Tim Thomerson was the funniest guy I ever saw get up at the Comedy Store. I mean, you know, you'd come in and even Robin could go on, and Tim Thomerson would come on, and then he would say goodnight, and then that would close the show.
Great names. Yeah. Great names. You also, I'm sure, you know, the Dangerfields and those names too. There were the Rickles and, you know, some of the, even, you know, I was just watching, there was one particular episode of the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson when Red Buttons was on, and he tells this extraordinary, the ability to tell these stories like a Winters. Incredible. And I was almost on the floor choking with laughter because it was so funny. And to see Carson's reactions, of course, when people were coming on. Rodney Dangerfield, an influence for you as well?
I'll tell you, it was rough, really rough, you know. I'll tell you, no respect at all right? I remember my dad used to send me out on Halloween, you know, as is. Okay, give him one of these, all right? All right, okay.
Got to go see Dr. Vinny Boombats.
Dr. Vinny Boombats. He started doing specials for either HBO or Showtime. I can't remember which it was. And I was on, I think, his first one, 1985. That would be me on his special right there. That's it.
Yeah.
And that was 19. Yeah.
This one's 86. Yeah.
86. It aired. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
so what was that like? That's great exposure. I mean, you're with some additional legends. I mean, it's just really a cool time.
Yeah. Jerry Seinfeld was on that episode.
Yes.
Roseanne Barr and a fellow from New York whose name is Bob Nelson.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of different people came through those specials that are now real famous. And I was glad I just got to know Rodney real well. And I remember one night I was walking around in the Improv, and Rodney had some cocktails, and he looked over at me, and I'm just walking around. He goes, "Hey, what are you doing? Are you looking for an identity?"
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, I didn't scream, I didn't yell, I didn't have really, you know, one hook. I just go up on stage and do what I could to make people laugh. But I didn't have one hook, and I think Rodney was alluding to that.
Yeah, it was. He was just, you know, the best. Did you ever work with Rickles, Don Rickles?
Never worked with him, met him, but never worked with him. I was in a restaurant one night, and he was sitting across from me eating, and I yelled across the restaurant to him. I said, "Hey, Don, you stole that hockey puck thing from me, didn't you?" And he goes, "Wait a minute, I know you. You're." I said, "It's Jeff Altman." He goes, "Altman, I know you. And we exchanged glances and talk and fun, and it was just it was neat.
You probably heard this story, but it was hilarious when Don Rickles was eating dinner, I think, at an Italian restaurant at the time with a woman that he wanted to impress.
Right.
And over at the other table, Frank Sinatra was there with his wife. And Don had mentioned beforehand something to the effect of, "Hey, you know, if you can, Frank, if you can just stop by the table, just stop by, say hi. That's it. That will really be very effective for me. And, you know, I'm trying to impress the lady." And Frank said, all right, Don, whatever. Okay, I'll do it. So, so Frank Sinatra eventually, as he's getting ready to leave, walks over towards the table and says, "Hey, Don, how are you?" And Don says, "Hey, Frank, what are you doing? Can't you see I'm trying to eat here?"
That's right. That's a great story.
Yeah. There are lots of great stories like that. You know, you mentioned Sid Caesar, who was another incredible, you know, your show of shows, Imogene Coca and so many others.
Yeah.
Just extraordinary talent, huh? With all of his quirks and idiosyncrasies and his moves and his mannerisms and his blinking and just the speech pattern when you see him in interviews too and on shows, you're just mesmerized by it.
He was fantastic to work with. He was one of the guys that, you know, he'd read the script and then he'd go out and just do the scene perfectly. This was on Pink Lady and Jeff, so this probably ain't at the top of his resume. But anyway, he taught me a lot. We did a lot of sketches together, and he taught me a lot about comedy. Actually, working with him, he was one of the most famous guys to do sketch comedy. He was the original sketch comedy guy.
That's right.
Doing show of shows, and then he made his comeback actually on Pink Lady and Jeff. Sid and Marty Krofft talked him into coming back and doing television, so he came back and did 3 episodes of the 6 that we taped. And I got to. There he is up there with that cowboy hat on, and look, he's so goofy as a fart. And he influenced me quite a bit as well. He's another guy you'd have to put down as an influence.
Absolutely right. Through the years too, you got a chance to do a lot of cool commercials. I mentioned in the introduction, for brand name staples, and Valvoline being one of them.
Right.
We actually have a spot here we're going to show. When did that whole thing happen for Valvoline? And did you ever think you'd be doing a commercial involving, oil, lube, and filter?
Well, I had done oil, lube, and filter here in my hometown, and no, I never suspected that. But actually, the one area that continued throughout my career as being the most consistent, I think, was the commercial field.
Yes.
And I think one of the reasons that I didn't become a giant star was because I spread myself very thin. I did TV, I did stand up, and I did commercials.
Yeah.
And, you take a look at, Dave Letterman. I mean, he knew exactly what he wanted to do, and magic, I should say. But Dave knew exactly what he wanted to do when he came from Indianapolis to Los Angeles. And he did a little stand up only as a way of getting, the show you're looking at now.
Yeah.
So,
I spread and he was a weatherman in Indiana too, wasn't
right.
he? Yeah. Weatherman first in television. Yeah.
Raining canned hams.
Right.
And so I did everything I could to make myself, be able to buy a home. And one of them was doing commercials, and it proved to be very lucrative. I did a lot of stuff. I did a pretty famous Bud Light commercial that aired back in the 80s. The 80s and the early 90s was the kind of when I really got my teeth into doing not only commercials but voiceovers and commercial cartoon voices and stuff, and got to work with Frank Welker.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And, you were sinking your teeth into everything around that time, including Wendy's hamburgers.
I went into Wendy's for the first time. I had a hot and juicy, and I loved it. That night, I had a wonderful dream. I took hot and juicies everywhere. All I could think about was that juicy meat, those juicy toppings. So, I decided to devote myself to bringing pleasure to people just as I have found it. You want a real good hamburger?
You muted yourself. You were speechless after seeing that. You hadn't seen that in years. It took your breath away. Wendy's, huh? Isn't that something?
Want a real good hamburger?
Yeah, you're going to. You aim to please, as you said in the commercial. That was
I think, Jim, I think that was if not my first, my second commercial.
Really? The Wendy's spot, huh?
Yeah. And then I did a right guard commercial with Garo Yepremian, and he was a big tight end for the Los Angeles Raiders, and at the time the Raiders. And we did that commercial, and then I got a little deal with CBS out of that, and then that started me kind of in television.
It started the television. We do have the Valvoline commercial too. We're going to show that. Here's a little oil, lube, and filter from Jeff Altman.
Motor oil. We need some.
Yeah, well, just get the bargain brand, Sonny.
But, Dad, Valvoline makes the highest quality motor oil recommended by any automobile manufacturer.
Quality schmality buster. I'd rather save money.
Hey, but there's a 15-cent rebate on every quart of Valvoline we buy.
Oh, sure, smart guy, but what about the 25-cent postage stamp?
But, Dad, this is an instant 15-cent rebate. We get our savings now.
Look, just get the Valvoline like I told you, or I'll sink you like a 3-foot putt.
Ooh. I had to make a living, man.
You had to make a living. Exactly right. And, but no, the cool stuff. I mean, you were becoming, sort of the everyday guy, the guy that you was down the street, the guy that was the neighbor, the guy that was the friend, the guy that you could trust, you know what I mean? In the commercials, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Buddy.
The guy, and I was kind of proud of that Valvoline commercial because they let me do a couple of my characters. And one of those characters kind of stuck, which was my dad with his pants pulled up. And that really was my dad. As my dad got older, the pants began to creep up and up and up. And by the time he was 65, it was just a belt and a hat. So,
exactly.
So that's me. That's me in the Valvoline commercial doing, one of these guys here and my dad.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Of course, many times, Evening at the Improv was another one. Tell us about that.
Well, I don't know if I think that might have been the one where I just appeared on Evening at the Improv because I hosted it once.
Yeah.
I think I only did 2 shots on that. I did one that was me doing stand-up and that's it. And that was probably back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Maybe around 1980.
Yeah.
Between 78 and 80, that show. And then I hosted it later on in the 90s.
So we were talking about this incredible relationship with David Letterman and the fact that he had you on some 40 times. Again, could you have ever imagined and this friendship that you've developed with Dave, do you still stay in touch with him?
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing well in retirement.
He's actually one of my best friends.
He is. Yeah. Yeah, he's missed. I had a chance to meet his announcer, Alan Coulter.
Oh my gosh!
Oh boy, was he terrific! I was at an event actually that was sponsored by a friend who was Michael Bolton was there. It was his charity event, and Alan was there supporting it, and he was just nothing but nice and funny, Alan. And I think it was just last year, or a year before when Alan passed. Yeah. And he was terrific. What would happen, when you would appear on, of course, with everybody, when they would go on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, if he called you over to the couch, it was magic the next day. The phone rang off the hook. Absolutely. And you've had those experiences with the Tonight Show as well with Carson. What was it like being with Johnny Carson? Truly one of the greats.
I did the Tonight Show, I guess 5 times, I think. In the beginning, it was just guest hosts. I did it with Gabe Kaplan and Gary Shandling and Jay Leno and Dave. And then I think my 5th shot was with Johnny. And by then I was making a little name for myself in show business. And I had met the president of show business and, I'm just kidding. So they let me, when I did Johnny, they let me sit on the panel the very first time I was on the show. In fact, I didn't even do stand-up. I just came out and did some jokes from the panel, which I'm much more comfortable with than I am doing stand-up.
Was George Gobel there that day?
And you couldn't tell exactly how great Johnny was until you were sitting on the panel with him. He just knew when to be quiet. He knew when to laugh. He knew when to let you go. He knew when something was funny. And I was lucky on that show with Johnny that I cracked him up and actually bent him over laughing.
Yeah. When he would lean over when he was almost falling off the chair. Yeah,
that's right. I was lucky to have one of those. And so it was I don't know, one of the 5 best high points of my show business career. Everybody who came to Los Angeles from matriculated from New York and parts unknown, all came for one reason, at least back in the 70s, 80s, and even in the early 90s. They wanted to be on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. So that was an unbelievable moment for me. And I really, I'll never forget it as long as I live. And then I had subsequent meetings with Johnny, with Buddy Rich, the drummer.
Oh, yeah, legend. Incredible.
I used to play the drums, and I became very, very close to Buddy.
With Buddy.
Towards the end of his life, and actually held his hand in the hospital right before he passed away.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He looked up at me and said something I'll never forget to this day. He said, he said, I wish I could be sharp just one more time. And he passed away.
Wow. That's incredible. If anybody's not familiar with Buddy Rich, just Google YouTube and whatever, and just watch his incredible, drumming. He was an extraordinary drummer. He reminds me sort of in terms of the incredible ability of like a Maynard Ferguson, how he was with the trumpet, just really 110% in.
That is it.
Yeah.
That is it. 100. Dizzy Gillespie once said to Buddy, he said, when I play with Buddy, I expect him to do as much as he can to play 100%, but not 150%.
Right. Just really, I know people would actually tune in specifically to Carson when they knew Buddy Rich was going to be on, because and he would just go off into these tangents that were unbelievable. Do you still play drums now? Do you still toy with it?
Yes.
Are those your chopsticks when you go out dining too at the
I use
Japanese restaurant down the block?
I've used them as chopsticks, but only when there are sumo in the house.
When there's
See, these suckers are big.
Yeah, they are.
Can you hear that?
Yes.
I hope I didn't ruin your microphone.
No, we only lost hearing in the left ear. No.
Sorry.
No, that was great. That was awesome. So you still do it. Were you a part of a band growing up?
All my life I've been in bands on and off, and in high school and college, and I was in college actually for 4 years at Johns Hopkins, 2 of them as a patient.
As a patient,
I played in college, and then there were years where I didn't play, but I've even played since I've been down here in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Well, you studied social and behavioral sciences. I mean, being in show business, I'm sure that came in real handy, having that background.
Well, my major actually in college was getting out. I don't know.
What was your GPA in that?
Well, apparently there was some confusion about my grade point average, and
did you matriculate while in college?
I'm matriculating. As I said, I'm matriculating as we speak. Mommy, take me downtown. And I had four nice years in Baltimore.
In Baltimore, yeah. Which is you fondly remember those years. And
yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So we're talking about Letterman a little bit. What was happening here with this shot? This is funny.
Well, that's me doing my dad.
Is that you? I thought that. Yeah, with the pants all the way up, and
yeah, that's right. And that's Dave looking on like, what the hell's happening here? And so there I am, just doing my dad on one of his shows. That was maybe the last time I was on the show, I think.
So your dad got a chance. Did your dad get a chance to see the success? Did he get a chance to see you? You know, really hit it and become, the star that you became.
Thank you. He passed away in 1982, and so he got to see Pink Lady and Jeff, and for him that was, seeing his only kid walk out and be a star of a show, made heaven a little easier for him, I think.
Which is beautiful. I mean, that's that when the family gets a chance to see, after they realize all the blood, sweat, and tears and everything that it takes to just do anything in these industries, that's really the icing on the cake when they get a chance to. Not everybody gets that blessing. That really is a blessing, isn't it?
It is, because as an only child, the one thing I wanted to do was, and my dad actually said to me when I left for California, he said, "What the hell are you going to do when you get out there, buddy? What the hell are you going to do, huh?" And because he didn't know, he had no idea what I was going to do. I had gone to college. He wanted me to become a doctor. And so when I didn't become a doctor, he was disappointed. And I went to Johns Hopkins University, and most of the people who went there became doctors. I did Valvoline commercials.
Well, I mean, different kind of oil, lube, and filter situation.
That's right.
And you go into the doctor's office, you need that, but in a different way. It's
There
like,
you
know what I mean? Of course, our friend Chris Corman, the son of Harvey Korman, we know. Working with Harvey Korman at all, and some of those legends.
I never met Harvey. I was so honored and flattered when Chris called me and wanted me to do something with him. And then I guess he turned me on to you, and I praise him for that. And he is a lovely guy. When you first mentioned his name to me, I go, Chris Corman. Chris, how do I know Chris? And then you said, oh yeah, and then it all came back. He's a lovely fellow.
He really is, and his father, of course, super comedic talent, and
one of the best sketch players of all time.
Harvey Korman, absolutely, and Tim Conway, and with Carol Burnett, and what were some of the other shows of the day that you got a chance to be a part of? Did you ever get a chance to be a part of some of those types of shows through the years?
The show I first was on in '76, Cause, was a sketch show, and I was in, and then Pink Lady and Jeff. And then mostly stand-up shows after that.
Night Court too, you were on, right?
Yeah, I was on Night Court. I was a guest star on Night Court and Mork and Mindy and KRP in Cincinnati. I was very lucky when I was younger to have been able to guest on some of these shows with some, really great, like WKRP in Cincinnati or Night Court. I was on with John Larroquette,
Larroquette
is great,
incredible, and WKRP in Cincinnati, Howard Hessman, and Robin Williams with Mork and Mindy. What was that like?
Oh, that was fantastic. I was the guest star of that episode, and I played a court reporter that had to follow him around, and so
trying to do that is no easy task.
Oh man, and there were scenes where I was actually walking around his apartment looking for stuff, Mork and Mindy's apartment, and Mork always appeared, and I would follow him, and then he followed me right behind me, that close, and it was pretty funny. I mean, anything Robin did was funny. So we had a great time, and Robin was a friend, and we had mutual admiration, I think.
Absolutely. We've got another clip here. This one you graciously sent along. Do you recall this episode when you were with Letterman?
Is this where I do a card trick?
I think, well, you know what? We're going to surprise our audience. We won't give it away. We'll let them see it, and then.
Oh, look, I think this is the one where I did a card trick, and boy, he gave me a tough time. He didn't want me to get away with anything.
Let's take a look, and this is when Jeff was on one of the many times on The Late Show, the incomparable David Letterman. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the one, the only Jeff Altman. The facets of your life in show business are infinite. Multivariate and infinite.
Thank you.
Now, I remember years and years ago, I met your father, I believe late in his life.
Yeah.
A nice fellow. What was his first name?
Arthur.
And Arthur, your father, and his brother, your uncle.
My brother Al, who was one of the talent scouts for Metro-Goldwyn Mayer.
Right. Yes.
And my dad, who was a very talented magician.
Yeah, and you also love magic. Did you learn it from your father?
I did. I learned a lot of stuff from my dad. When I went to college in Baltimore, I learned some stuff from a fellow named Frank Thompson, and later Ricky Jay, Steve Freeman.
Ricky Jay, who's been on the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did that wonderful documentary. Ricky Jay's done several films, a fine actor as well. Yeah. And then who was the other guy that I can't remember?
David Roth.
No, David Roth, the fellow who passed away. Vernon Dai.
Dai Vernon.
Dai Vernon.
The professor.
Yeah. He was the top of the heap, wasn't he?
The best. It's the best of the 20th century.
Yeah. And can you do something for us tonight?
Right.
No, you don't have to.
No, it's all right. Do you have a deck of cards?
Is it a card trick?
I'll do a simple old-fashioned card trick.
Yeah.
In fact, I will channel the brother Theodore and my friend Lenny Schultz, and I will do something that will involve mentalism.
Cards?
Cards?
I don't think we have any cards.
You don't have any cards here?
We got cards. We're just jerking around.
God, you scared me half to death. Deck of cards. I will do a, you want to check these, make sure they're okay?
I'm sure they're fine.
Okay. We'll need that later.
We'll need this later. That's
Maybe.
right. Sure.
I will do a trick, which is a
good.
prediction trick.
Is it going to be good?
It's going to be fantastic. This is a prediction trick that is absolutely fantastic. Dave, I'm going to have you think of and then name any card at all in the deck.
Okay. I have it. Do I announce it?
Announce it now.
7 of clubs.
Isn't that funny? I said the 7 of diamonds. I'll do a real trick.
That's not. That was no trick.
Well, it was close. I got a 7. I'll do a real prediction trick.
Okay.
And this uses.
Is this what it is? I got to pick a card. Is that right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right.
You go home to your wife. I had to pick a card.
Yeah,
on
I'm
the show.
I'm exhausted.
This trick uses 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. I'll leave on the table. Take the deck in your own hand.
All right.
Pull out a card you like, and when you come to one you like,
I'll pick one. I got it out.
hand me back the cards.
All righty.
Tonight.
I have my card right here.
Okay. Would you sign your name on it, Dave? You have something here to sign? So
On the back or the face?
on the face of the card. Sign your name so I can sell it later on eBay. Have you done that? Don't let me see it. I won't look at the monitor.
What, on the face?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, face of the card.
Okay.
And then turn it face down so that I can't see it.
All right. Just a minute. I'm
Have
trying
you
to
done that?
trying to think of something witty.
Yeah, you can
Right.
put, you can.
I don't know if we have
take
that
some
kind of time, though.
Yeah, right. Have you done that?
Just a minute.
Oh,
By the way, it seems like I'm doing all the work in this trick.
exactly right.
Okay. Okay. We're
Have you
ready.
done that?
Yeah. Do I
Okay.
show it to the audience?
Yeah, show it to the audience. Don't let me see it.
I couldn't think of anything witty to write, so.
And as I run the cards from hand to hand, Dave, would you be good enough to just say stop?
And then you're forcing a space on me, aren't you?
No.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
That's exactly what you want me to do. You have a space where you want this card
I'll
to go.
pull the cards off one at a time, like this, 10 at a time, and you
Paul,
call stop.
He's
Anywhere.
forcing me to put the cards
I
in.
can see that. He is.
Did I tell you he'd say that?
Well,
I told you he'd say that.
no, you didn't tell me.
As I dribble the card, say stop.
Stop. Somehow I feel I've not exercised free
We'll
will.
start over.
All right, go ahead. All right, let's go again. Stop.
Very good. Give him a little mix.
You know where it is already, don't you?
Well, I don't actually know. No, it's not on the top. It's not on the bottom.
Oh, here it comes.
I need the card box, Dave.
Oh, the card box. There you are, my friend.
I want you to just put those down on top of the card. Put the card box on top. I'll just use the 4 cards I had on the table to make. Remember, I said I was going to make a prediction.
Okay.
I'm going to use these 4 cards.
All right, just a moment.
And they're going to tell me what your card is. Nice and square. Can't get away from you.
Okay.
4 cards on the table are going to tell me exactly what your card is. This tells me your card is a cherry color card.
How does that indicate cherry?
You never heard of black cherries?
Yes, I've heard of black cherries, but I don't know that would be an indicator.
It's an old line, man. It's an old.
Okay.
This tells me your card is a diamond.
Okay, I can accept that.
And this card is whispering to me that your card may have been a face card, perhaps the queen. No. The Jack of Diamonds? Was your card the Jack of Diamonds?
I'm not telling you. I mean, if I tell you, then the trick is over.
Dave, you have to either tell me or I'm going to cuff you real hard.
No, seriously, if I have to tell you what the card was.
Well, you don't have to tell me, Dave, because the last card was a prediction, and the prediction is I'd wind up holding it with what the signature said exactly on the face of the card.
Oh boy,
that was fantastic.
Yeah.
You had to work that night, huh?
Woo, I'll tell you, he really put me through the paces. That's a great trick. But you know, do you remember towards the beginning of the trick, there was a huge applause from the audience?
Oh yes, yes.
You know, after I showed the seven that I missed his mentally selected card, and I held up the 7 of diamonds.
Yes.
I turned to the audience, paused, and said the S word. and the audience, it was the biggest laugh I ever got on Letterman. Of course, they bleeped it, but it was a huge laugh.
They bleeped the word sensational.
Exactly.
That was something. And again, you know, 40 times to be on, you know, both incarnations, NBC, and then of course the CBS version, just really incredible. And again, like you said, you developed this wonderful friendship, and you guys stay in touch, which is great. I mean, you sent this along to us, and again, thanks for sending the clip and this photo as well. This is cool.
That's Dave and myself in Montana, horseback riding.
And what were you doing? What was happening?
We were horseback riding up in the mountains, the foothills in let's see, that was Montana.
Wow. How long ago was this shot, would you say?
That was shots a year and a half, maybe.
Is that it? Really? Huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. My wife was with me. We went up to visit Dave, and he has a small little ranch up there in Montana.
That is really cool. Montana's really beautiful, huh?
Oh, it's lovely. It's just you can't tell the beauty from that picture, except for the horse's face there, who's even sick of me. And
right. He's like, you again?
Yeah, it's Altman. Yeah. But the mountains and the scenery are just splendiferous. There's another big word.
Yeah. This was something too. Tell us about this Little Things Live.
This was the 20th anniversary of the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
And
look at all these names you were with.
Oh, it was a big night, and I think this was held at one of the big venues in Los Angeles. It might have been at the Universal Amphitheater, and everybody went on and just killed. I mean, you had Louie and Gary and Paulie and Sandra and David was there, and Jim Carrey and Damon Wayans, Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, you know, it was on and on and on with talent. And so for some reason they chose me to be there, and I showed up.
The magic, you're still heavily involved in there, still doing that today, right? It's still a big part of your life.
Yeah, I actually kind of retired from show business when I moved to Raleigh here, North Carolina, in 2016, and that was about the time you saw me doing the card trick on Letterman, and that was one of his last shows. Anyway,
was that a tough decision to do that, to retire from it?
Well, I ain't young anymore, and my act was so physical and so nice.
Yeah.
That for a guy my age to be, doing that stuff, just it don't look right. so I lost interest in doing stand up kind of, and the acting was pretty much over, and the commercials were pretty much over. You age out. Some people do. I was one of them that kind of aged out of the business to some degree in the last 5 years. And I said to myself, I don't have to do this anymore. I've done well in my career, and I got married for the third time, and I married a girl that I knew in high school. And
did you really? Wow.
Yeah, and she actually came
that up in Syracuse.
That's right.
Wow.
We went to high school in Syracuse, Nottingham High School, and she was there and I was there. We never dated, but we reconnected.
She waited that long for you? She is a star. She's the star of the show.
Thank you.
She is the star.
Let me get her in here, honey. No, she got me to move to Raleigh, as she lived here for like 20 years, raising a daughter and having a family. And then I got divorced and she got divorced, and we were both single, and we decided to get married. And I took a look at Raleigh because I remember the place from where I used to perform back in the 80s at a place called Charlie Goodnight's.
Yeah.
I was one of the people that opened that club here.
Wow.
And so we moved to Raleigh, and for the last 5 years have been exquisitely happy.
That's incredible. Do you get people who still try to bring you out of the sort of retirement to do comedy, to get back out? Have you ever had an inkling to get out and do stand-up again?
Yeah, I've gone to Charlie Goodnight's a couple of times to watch some fellow comedians work, and I see them get off the stage, and I think to myself, gee, can I follow this guy? And the answer is no. But yeah, I still feel the urge to get up and perform once in a while. But now I do it with a deck of cards. And just recently, I've been performing and getting some gigs and having fun.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. Who are the folks in the world of magic that influenced you? Of course, we talked about your dad, but others that I used to love to do magic as a kid too. I mean, just during the time period, magic was great. You start with your little first magic set, and then you go from there.
Right.
Who are some of the folks that influenced you early on throughout your career?
Well, as I said before, there was my father, who was a huge, the original influence. That ain't easy to do. And look what you see me doing there. That's not easy to do. And look at the camera. It's easy to do if you're looking at your smile. But it's hard to catch those cards without looking at them. Anyway,
right.
I dropped the cards a lot in that photo shoot. But
that was picture 79.
Picture 86.
86 when he got it.
I
think we got it.
I was once 86th out of Caesar's Palace for reasons I can't tell you. and then came back years later to open for Kool and the Gang.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that was quite a celebration.
I did a lot of opening, Jim, for different people. I was the opening act for the Captain and Tennille back in the late 70s.
That's right.
And all kinds of strange acts during the years I was the opening act. But the people, to answer your question, the people who influenced me the most were my father, I would say B, Frank Thompson in Baltimore, and then this kid that came from Oklahoma named Steve Freeman. Who is one of my best friends. He lives in Ventura, California, and man, was he good.
Yeah,
and the way he handled cards was just so smoothly and so fluidly that it was just a pleasure to watch him work. And he did influence my card handling.
Did you like people like Doug Henning, Houdini, Copperfield, some of those, the Penn and Tellers?
Tell you an interesting story, Jim. My dad knew Houdini.
Really?
My dad was born in 1906. He was 45 years old when I was born. And he was appointed by Houdini in 1926, right before Houdini died, as the first president of the Society of American Magicians in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Worcester, yeah. And that's how you say it, not Worcester.
Yeah. Oh, geez, Worcester.
Yeah, right.
Worcestershire.
Right. Worcester, yeah.
But no, my dad was a huge influence. And, all the people you just have mentioned, of course, dribbled down through the ages, Doug Henning, and influenced all of us, I think.
All exactly.
Doug was really one of the first guys, and Ricky Jay, along with Doug Henning, to start performing what you'd consider modern magic on television.
Absolutely. Going back to the comedy world, did this guy ever influence you, Mr. George Burns?
I only saw George Burns once. It was backstage It's some huge event that I don't know. Maybe I did like 2 minutes of comedy, and he was backstage just sitting there waiting to go on. He was 101 years old, I believe.
Unbelievable, huh?
Or wait a minute, he was 99.
99, yeah, right.
Because I think he died when he was 100. Didn't he? Or something like that.
That's when this came out, right? My aunt collected dolls, so she got this collectible one. But yeah, and with the cigars every day, and you know, the occasional martini here and there, and
can't argue with that.
Talk about the legends, huh? George Burns, really fantastic.
That's a beautiful one, Gracie.
That's a beautiful one, Gracie. What are some of the things you're doing now these days for people that are saying, hey, you know, Jeff Altman, he's been around for so long. I loved him doing this and this and this. What's Jeff doing now? You're enjoying life in North Carolina?
Yep, I'm laid back and just I've got a deck of cards here, and think of one of those cards there. You got it? Did you see
I got
it?
it.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Was it red?
Yes.
Was it a heart?
Yes.
Are you thinking of the Ace of Hearts?
Yes.
Seriously?
That's exactly the card.
That's what I do.
That was exactly. And folks, this isn't, we're not like this. He didn't prepare this.
No,
we didn't he's not reading a teleprompter. There's none of that. That is the card.
Well, anyway, I have a lot of fun with the.
Could you tell if I'm wearing pants or not? Then
you're not wearing pants, and I knew that from the outset. But
it's a very good guess.
Didn't bother me.
The Ace of Hearts was exactly the card. Now, when that happens, what do you think? I mean, what's going through you? Like, holy cow! I mean, that's amazing. That's very like intuitive.
I say to myself, another card trick completed. Thank you. Good night.
You're right.
That's right. I just
and then you invoice them.
That's right. Or I matriculate.
Yes.
No, but
that's uncanny. That was done right here in front of everybody watching. That's very incredible. Yeah.
Well,
was there something that I was doing facially? Was I blinking a certain way? Or
no, I'm watching. No, seriously, I'm watching your face as you're watching the cards, and I'm trying to get an idea of what card you're thinking of. And
really?
You happen to go for a big old red card, and that's kind of what I was thinking of, and that's what I mentioned.
And then it was hearts, and then it was the ace. I mean, that's incredible. That really is.
Well, thank you.
Speaking of John Davidson, that's incredible.
Yeah, I did a lot of Mike Douglas shows early in my career, and then John Davidson took the show over in 1980, I think.
That's right, Davidson. He was a guest twice on our show. You know what he's doing now?
No.
He's got this really cool thing that he started up in New Hampshire, which is really where he lives generally. He's from Massachusetts, and it's in the Lakes region, sort of the White Mountains area. And he created this cool little venue in Sandwich, New Hampshire. I know everybody thinks of Sandwich, Massachusetts, but there's actually Sandwich, New Hampshire too, in the Lakes region. And he calls it Club Sandwich. And he brings in all these acts, comedians, magicians, singers, performers. He performs as well. He comes in on a big swing. I mean, he's got all of these things about his career all on the walls and all these funky chairs and couches. And it's just really a laid back venue. And he does that from October. We went up to New Hampshire to see it about a year ago, 4th of July weekend. And after he was a guest on the show, and it's open like from October to about April. And then when it wraps up, he goes to Mexico on his boat, and he spends the winters on his boat in Mexico because his son and wife and family are in Mexico. So he spends the time there. But in the spring, summer, fall, he has this cool venue, Club Sandwich in Sandwich, New Hampshire. And he said he's having the time of his life, totally enjoying it, doing it on his terms, his way.
He's a great guy, and he's a really great guy. He's a friendly man. He's a talented man. And I used to do this thing when I used to go on his show. where a concept would fly over my head. And as I did that, I would always go, and for some reason he thought that was funny. And every time I did the show, he would make me do that. I don't know why.
Of course, yeah. Did you do a lot of voices too for the audience? Voiceovers, characters, things of that nature through the years, right?
Yeah, I did it. There was a show called the Ghostbusters on.
Oh yeah,
that was a cartoon, and there was a character on the spinoff of that which was called Slimer, and I did a character on that show called Dr. Dweeb, who sounded like this.
Hello, my name is Dr. Dweeb, and today we're going to be experimenting with some nitroglycerin. So when I explode, please just don't look at my pants.
One of those guys. But I was able to do a lot of characters that I did for different places and different venues.
You know, that animation work now, so many people are in the world of animation, but also the video game voices for all these video games that are out there these days. Is that something that you would like to do or do more of, that sort of voiceover work for animated characters? And
if I got a call to go back to LA or go down to Atlanta or even stay here in Raleigh, and I guess you can stay here now these days. But yeah, I'd be glad to do it. Hey, if you're out there,
he's available. He's available. No, that's really cool. Yeah, because that is a big area that a lot of people because you can have these home studio kind of situations where you have your own place and your own thing, and you can do it from there. Do you have like a booth? Do you have a microphone?
No.
Do you have a setup?
Nope. No, as I said, for the most part got rid of show business when I moved here, and so the days of having my own studio are over. But there
was a little pregnant pause there as everybody went,
or applauded.
The cane didn't come and take him. He brought the cane himself. One of the things I always say on this show and just in life, you got to laugh, right? Some of the nutty things we've seen happen, especially in recent years, just in life in general, you really have to laugh. Laughter is because there's a lot of people that they don't get the joke. They don't laugh. They don't let themselves laugh. My father has always referred to them as stiffs, but they don't get the joke. They just don't laugh. You got to laugh even at yourself, right? You just have to.
You got to laugh at yourself and the rest of the world if you can. I mean, you said it best, Jim. We're going through some tough times in this world, the likes of which I've never seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
And politically, climate wise, everywhere wise. Things are tough, and what's I think sustains us is being able to tune into TV and see somebody like John Mulaney or Sebastian Maniscalco. Or
he's hilarious, isn't he?
Funny. Oh man!
Wow. Yes. Yeah. I love the one where he talks about, you can really relate to a lot of what he talks about. The one where he talks about how, in terms of how things have changed, when somebody would come to the door years ago, people would be so excited and so happy, and they would jump up off the chairs, jump off the couch, run to the door because we have company. Kids in their pajamas would slide to the door, and it was exciting that somebody was coming to see
coming
you.
Over.
Now
coming over.
They knock on your door and everybody's like, who the hell is that? Duck, turn the lights off, hide behind the couch. Don't answer that door.
Get your gun.
Yes. It's like, or what is the other one? Same thing. Like when somebody calls, people used to, there'd be the phone on the kitchen wall and people would be very excited. The phone's ringing. Oh, wow. Somebody's calling us. They have news. They're excited. Run to the phone, fight over who gets to talk on the phone. Give me that phone. No, I want the phone. Now the phone rings and people are like, who the hell is calling?
It's spam. It's a spam call.
And what's the other one he says? He talks about there would always be this sort of cake, like a bundt cake or something that would be off to the side on a counter or something like that. And that, you would want a slice of that. And it would be like, no, that's for the company. And everybody would be like, well, what company? Well, there's nobody really scheduled, but if company just stops by, we have that bundt cake ready for that.
Ready to go.
It's just amazing how, it's all funny and it's all true. That sort of.
By the way, Jim, you've got your name up behind you there, and a very festive scene.
Thank you.
I'd like people to take a good look here at the Brooklyn Bridge.
Is that what that is?
That's the Brooklyn Bridge. That came from an art gallery, and that was the building of the Brooklyn Bridge, and it was shown on my birthday in 1976. Fascinating, huh?
1976. That was the 200th birthday of the country, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And then in 83, they celebrated the 100th birthday in New York of the bridge.
Right.
And it was a massive celebration. They had the fireworks sort of flowing off the bridge into the river, shooting off the bridge. It was a tremendous. And then 3 years after that, in 86, Liberty Weekend was celebrating the 100th birthday of the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
I was mentioning this to somebody. We don't do things like that anymore. No. We don't do big, festive, patriotic, whatever celebrations of things, bringing us all together, all the different cultures and backgrounds. And, everybody has their different views on life, but everybody was sort of, it was equalized and brought together during big events like these, this 76, 200th, the Brooklyn Bridge, the Statue of Liberty, and other things like that. That seems to, even the World's Fair, I think, is gone. There's nothing going on that's bringing us together in a positive way where everybody, lays down their differences, lays down whatever it is that, they need to get across, and just comes together for the celebration of life and celebration of comedy is one of those things. Magic is one of those things. Music. These are things, going to art gallery, whatever, museums, that brings us together. That sort of, those things are imperative to keep and to support, and sports can do that as well. But it's a shame that we don't have those kinds of things happening anymore that bring us together, and we're sort of proud and we're celebrating, who we are and what we're about.
Well, as you said, comedy is one of the I guess, conduits that keeps us sane. I mean, if there was no comedy, if there was no irony, if there was no laughter in this world, where would we be right now? It's been a tough few years, especially with the pandemic.
Been one flew over the cuckoo's nest on many levels. What have you learned about yourself during all this time? Some of the guests that have come through have talked about some of the things during this great pause, this time of reflection. I mean, you've had this extraordinary, well-deserved career, wearing many different hats, making people feel good through your laughter, your humor, your physical prowess, through the magic. So you're entertaining.
I also have a little massage business that I do down the street.
Is that place called Manny's?
Oh boy.
Yeah, so that's
that's not the question.
No, he really digs in deep in that business too. I was talking about, that you've had this and continue to have, even though you're in retirement, so he says. But next week he'll be appearing at. He's retired, but next week you can find him in Altoona, Ithaca, and Albuquerque. But he's retired. Don't tell anybody.
Jim,
yes.
The worst experience I ever had on stage, the second worst, happened in Albuquerque.
And here's his story, folks.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was working with the Pointer Sisters. I was the opening act for quite a while for the Pointer Sisters when they were popular. And there were 14,000 people assembled in this gigantic stadium in Albuquerque, New Mexico for the New Mexico State Fair. And so, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pointer Sister Show. And tonight you will be amazed and delighted by their singing. And now the opening act, Jeff Altman. Well, I came out, and through my entire act, all I heard was, "We want the Pointers to get off the stage. We want the Pointer Sisters. What are you doing? Get off." It was tough. In fact, I've gotten that as recently as 5 years ago.
Right. That's so how do you handle that? So when that happens, what do you do?
It's a great question. You just keep doing, keeping on, you know, you just keep saying the words.
Right. You don't take it personally because they want, because they love them.
Yeah.
Sure. But it isn't really against you. It's just they're so excited about them.
Right. I just kept saying the words, kept doing my act. And finally, when I said goodnight, boy, I got huge applause.
Yeah. Right.
I was at Caesar's Palace once. I had mentioned getting 86 out of Caesar's Palace when I was in college because I was too young to even be in the joint, but or gambling. And I was opening for the Pointer Sisters, and they got into a slap fight backstage.
The sisters?
The sisters got into a real old-fashioned slap Three Stooges fight. This is true. Backstage, and
an SF.
They were crying and going nuts. This was all backstage. So they said to me, Jeff, you got to go out there and tell them.
See, today that would be on stage, and it would be viral.
There you go. So anyway, I was told that I had to go back out on stage and let the crowd know that there would be no show tonight at Caesar's Palace. The only show they had seen was me. So I said, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go out on stage. I said, I'll make an announcement. And so I got on the PA and went, "Ladies and gentlemen, because of a fire," or something. I don't know what I said.
Fire.
Yeah.
Mass panic.
Yeah, mass panic. And I said, I think there'll be a refund, and just don't worry. And the girls are sick backstage and can't go on, but we sure appreciate you coming. Stand in line for a refund. Huge booing.
Yeah, it was something, huh?
Yeah.
Wow, that's something. Did they ever figure out what was the problem backstage, or
they were disagreeing about something?
Something,
Yeah.
So you were with them for a long time.
I opened for the Pointer Sisters for about 6-7 months, I think.
Yeah, they were probably great to work with as far as we had them on the show. We had Anita was on the show and Ruth was on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny, a classic episode, just hilarious. And during the episode, Ruth lights up this huge something. Just she's in her penthouse, and we're talking, and Anita's in this screen, and Ruth's in this screen, and she just lights up, and Anita looks at the screen, and she sees Ruth just puffing away, lighting, and she goes, "What you got there? A blunt?" I mean. It's just, they were terrific. It was, but that's, to be opening for them is kind of something, but that's sort of, you hone your skills and your chops, and it builds sort of like resilience, right? They can throw anything at you and you can take care of whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm. I remember going down, I mentioned earlier, Tim Thomerson as being the funniest guy I ever saw at the Comedy Store. And Tim, and by the way, is one of my close friends, and we talk on the phone regularly. And when I go to Los Angeles and later this month, I hope to see him. But anyway, he called me one night and says, "Hey, you want to make $75?" This was 1975. I said, $75? I said, in one night?
In one night.
And so he says, "Yeah, there's this little club down the coast here from LA, and it's called the Beach Ball." Well, this was a club in which comedians had gone down there and had knives pulled on them. I mean, it was, if you could get through a night at the Beach Ball, you could do anything. And that's where I really learned my, how to get through tough times.
Yeah.
So when I got to the Pointer Sisters and I made that voiceover that night, it wasn't as hard or, impossible as I thought it was. And we got through it.
I was mentioning, the times we're in and the time of reflection and looking back at everything, looking at our own lives and looking at next chapter. What are some things you learned about yourself during the last couple of years?
Well, I learned that you can start smelling bad after 5 days.
That's true. Yes, that's true.
So I've started bathing again, and it's. I learned that it's okay to just be with your wife in your house, and I don't know whether you're married or not, Jim, or but I as I say, I have this sort of semi newlywed in my wife Bonnie Altman, and we've like everybody, we you don't go out and get in huge crowd situations anymore. I mean, you do, and people do it. But I mean, I try to keep a mask on if I'm going to be around a large group of people, because this Omicron variant is still mutating, and we're going to, I think, see a spike this winter. So I hope people play it safe, get vaccinated, and wear their masks. That's what I've learned.
Mutating.
Wear your mask.
Wear the mask.
The only problem is I've been wearing a Nixon mask, and so that
that's an interesting. And what happens when you do? What's the facial expressions? What's the reaction?
Well, then I take the mask off and go, "Good evening, my fellow Americans. Let me just say this. I'm so horny the crack of dawn ain't safe." Anyway, I stole a Tim Thomerson line.
I was going to say,
yeah, but no, the pandemic and these times have made my wife and I closer than I've ever been to another human being. And
that's beautiful, huh?
Talking with my friends on the phone. My one best friend lives in Syracuse. One best friend lives not far from you in Wilton, Connecticut, down near let's see, Wilton,
Fairfield County.
Fairfield County,
by Westport, and
then Letterman,
Letterman's in there,
and
he's in Connecticut,
and so you start to appreciate the phone.
Yes, that's right, exactly. We got this too.
Oh my gosh, that's the only album I ever did. I'll Flip You Like a Cheese Omelet. There's me doing my dad again, and that was released by Mercury Records and sold 6 copies. To
your family? Did you give them away stocking stuffers, or?
Yeah, and I even had to talk them into it.
That is funny. You've had this, again, incredible career, and I know you say retired, but you have really touched so many people with your wit, your wisdom, as well as your humor on all these iconic shows, but just in general, and with years and years put in of stand-up, and of course Pink Lady, which we talked about, but just in so many different ways, so many different realms. When you look at it, what are some of those blessings and joys that continue to, you just mentioned your fabulous wife, of course. What are some of those blessings and joys?
Well, there's one right
look
there.
At this one. We didn't show this.
That's Dave and I in 1978 when we were on a show called the Starland Vocal Band. And that's we were at the Renaissance Fair in Los Angeles. I think that's the Renaissance Fair in Los Angeles, shooting some stuff for the show.
Cool. But when you do look back at it all, what are some of those blessings and joys that continue to forge you forward in your life? Again, you could have given up on all this years ago, but you stuck with it through thick and thin, even with some of these experiences you've shared with us, where things don't always turn out as perfect as one dreams, but still there you are, live to tell the story continual, Jeff.
Well, a lot of people don't know it. I'm 96 years old.
That's what I thought. That's why it took us an hour and a half to get the lighting perfect before we can go on.
That may be true. No, I'm 71 years old, and I've just relished the time I had in show business. It was fabulous. It was a dream come true. I mean, there were tough times, and there were easy times, and there were fun times, and there were not so fun times. But I wouldn't have had a different life under any other circumstances. This has just been a blessing given to me by people who helped me get into the business, like Ricky Jay, and a magician named Mike Skinner, and other people. So, it's been great fun.
What's
and
really
nice meeting you.
I was just about to say what was really exciting about all of this and this extraordinary and epic career you've had, Jeff, is the fact that, and I know you expressed this to me when we were chatting on the phone. You've expressed this to me via text and email, and the extraordinary gifts that you sent that were out on our front porch. That this, of all the things that you've done in your extraordinary career, that this is really the pinnacle being on. I mean, you've been on some of the most incredible, iconic talk shows and entertainment shows and so much more. And to now be on the Jim Masters Show entertainment lifestyle talk show series, it is pinnacle city for you. I mean, you are really matriculating right now, aren't you? Matriculating with Masters.
Baby. I've enjoyed this so much, man. This has just been nothing but fun.
I hope the show met whatever expectations you had, truly, and you enjoy the time with me as much as I have with you. It's been really terrific going down memory lane, but also talk about some of the current things that you're doing, celebrating your incredible career and who you are, Jeff. And that's what we like to do. We call these, again, it's sort of that old school way when you think of Carson Cavett, Letterman, Mike Douglas, Merv, Regis, Steve Allen, Jack Parr, some of the real conversations versus just tell us about the book, tell us about the CD and the film, and then in and out. Real good conversations. And you're a great conversationalist. This was terrific. And of course, the viewers already have dubbed you a lovety on the Jim Masters Show. So I say it often: Grammys, Oscars, Emmys, Tellys, Tonys, Peabodys. There's all these incredible things you can get, Academy Awards.
I've received none of those things, Jim. I've received none of those things.
Well, now you're a lovety on the Jim Masters Show live.
I'm a lovety, baby.
How does it make you feel? You tingling? Everybody says their feet tingle when they hear that.
No, I'm just matriculating.
One guest said he started levitating as a result.
I'm licensed to levitate.
You are licensed to levitate. There is the website, gang. It's a great site. It's being added to every day. JeffAltmanMagic.com. And like I said, you're still doing the magic, right?
Yes,
still
sir.
Enjoying that.
Never give it up.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. And of course, our buddy Chris Corman, who we love.
Thank you, Chris.
He's truly one of the, a class act and one of the great guys. And
tremendous.
Yeah. Best of the holidays to you, Jeff. This really was tremendous. Really a great conversation.
I really enjoyed this a lot.
Oh, I appreciate that. As my father has always told us, even when we were kids, all the sage advice coming from Dad, he has always said, and I must have been 10 when he first said this, and it holds true today. Whenever anybody says something kind or nice to you, ask them to please put it in writing and address it management.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah. My Irish dad from Astoria, New York. Absolutely. With his humor. Yeah.
That's where my daughter works.
In Astoria.
Well, near there, very close to there. She's my daughter. I have one child, Faith Altman, and she's the sole mediator for the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene for the city of New York City.
Wow, that's amazing, huh? Wow, she's doing well, huh?
Yeah, she teaches at Columbia, as a matter of fact.
Does she really?
Yeah.
That is fantastic. That is.
I think of all the things we've talked about, what I just mentioned is the thing that's singularly most important in my life.
Yes, right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that is, again, congratulations to her and
thank you.
And to you for all, and of course your wife and the family, and all the best. Spread the word about the Jim Masters Show. If you know others you think would like to pop on, they come from all different backgrounds. They've been through here, and we really appreciate all this time, my friend. Best of the holidays and the upcoming new year.
Jim.
And
Same to
thanks
you,
for
my
making
friend.
us laugh and taking us down memory lane a little bit. This was really tremendous. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, you
Appreciate it.
take care and be well. Is there going to be an invoice or?
Well, there'll be the bill for the gifts I sent you.
Oh yeah, the gifts. Yeah, yes.
You'll get that in about 10 days.
Can I? Well, we still have time. Are we allowed to regift those or?
Yeah, sure. Just don't send them back to me with a bill.
The chocolate covered pineapple. I don't know about that one. I don't know where you got that one from, but that was.
The chocolate covered pineapple.
Yeah, you were really being creative when you said those, Altman.
Absolutely. It's in the holiday spirit.
It's in the holiday spirit. Yes. Thank God you didn't send that fruitcake that people have been passing around since 1964. And I think it's only one fruitcake on the planet, and it just keeps getting passed around to everybody.
We've got one here that's hard as a rock.
Do you? Have you had it bronzed?
My wife, that's where my wife was this afternoon, getting the fruitcake bronzed.
Getting the fruitcake bronzed.
I got to remember that line. That's a good line.
That's it.
Getting the fruitcake bronzed.
That's it.
I'll thank you for that, Jim.
That's going to be in his memoir coming up, and when he'll be back when he has the memoir, and the title is "When the Fruitcake Was Bronzed." A fruitcake bronzed.
Jeff Altman is a fruitcake.
And now he's bronzed.
And now I'm bronzed.
This was terrific. You be well, my friend. Okay.
You too.
And we'll keep the porch light on. You are welcome back to stop by the Jim Master Show anytime you like. Okay.
Thank you very much, Jim, for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. You take care and be well. All right.
You too, buddy.
All right. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
The incomparable Jeff Altman here on the Jim Masters Show, legendary stand-up comedian, magician extraordinaire, and also actor, and all-around great guy. Class act, funny, rolls with the punches. He's been on all the shows over the years, and many, many, many stages he's graced as well, from New York to Hollywood to Vegas and everywhere in between. And now he stopped by the Jim Masters Show, entertainment, lifestyle, variety talk show series, where we're bringing back truly the lost art of conversation in our conversational way. Really tremendous to go back, in time and take a look at some of the great memories, but also hear about some of the cool things he's doing now. And of course, as we were showing you some of the clips and the photos and all of that, I'm sure it brought back a chuckle or two for you and some great memories of Jeff over the years. And there's some shows and things too that you might have forgot that he was in. You might have not even known that he was in, like, of course, Dukes of Hazzard we talked about as well. But all those years spent with his buddy Dave Letterman, it's really nice too that two friends, still remain in touch. Because in these industries, that we're in here, not everybody does that. Everybody always says, yeah, I'll see you soon, and let's get together for lunch, and let's do this, and let's do that. And, and not many people can say that they've been in a hot tub with Bobby Vinton. I mean, that's whatever it takes. And of course, there's Larry Hagman, but, so many incredible stories behind the scenes with his dry wit and self-deprecating humor. Really, really fantastic. And again, we were so honored to have him here, on the show. And that was Baywatch. Yes, the episode was The Drowning Pool. This was in '89. That's of Baywatch. Great story about this shot as well. And of course, Weather Wizard from Legends from the Superheroes, the album that he gave to his family. That they then put on eBay. No, of course, Evening at the Improv. We saw that and just talked about all these cool things. Look at all the names here, huh? Yeah, really amazing. Jeff's terrific. He really is great. Our mutual friend, of course, Chris Corman. We appreciate Chris watching. We thank you as well for being such a supporter of the Jim Masters Show. He was a guest. If you didn't see the episode when Chris was with us, check that out as well. It was really, really epic. Thanks for joining us here on the Jim Masters Show, gang. If you enjoyed this episode, give it a like on our YouTube channel. There's a big, huge thumbs up. Make sure you hit the one that's pointed up, please. Give us a like, leave a comment for us as well. That helps us grow. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Doesn't cost anything. I know you like to hear that. And you'll be a part of the JMS Loverty family, the Loverty Squad, as we call it, here on the Jim Masters Show. So like, comment, subscribe, share it. And if you missed anything, if you joined us late and you missed all the laughs and clips and photos and great memories and new cool things that Jeff Altman is doing with his magic and more, you can see the entire episode archived on our YouTube channel. Sometimes people, come and go based on their schedule. So you can see this whole thing morning, noon, and night, 24/7 on our YouTube channel, which is Jim Masters TV. Of course, you can find Jeff, basically everywhere online. And of course, his website as well. Check that out, which is really fantastic. There it is on the screen again, jeffaltmanmagic.com. And really, really cool. And thanks, for all the great comments and all your enthusiasm as well, gang. We really, really appreciate that. Spread the word about what we're doing here. We're inching up on somewhere around 900 episodes of this series in just 2.5 years, which is truly amazing. And thanks to you and you and you and you and everybody who watches for some great entertainment, poignant conversations, levity, the whole bit, everything that we can throw at you here to put smiles on your face and entertain you. Again, we started this in the beginning of the pandemic. People said, Jim, are you going to keep doing this? Or was it just during that time? I said, no, as long as you guys are here, we'll keep bringing you the levity and the levity and everything else that we do. So thanks for all the support. Don't forget, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Jim Masters TV. And of course, our YouTube channel is Jim Masters TV as well. We don't say goodbye around here, as you guys know. We say ciao, cheers, hasta la vista, shalom, sayonara, moya loop, buenas noches, ciao and cheers, slancha, and take care and be well. We love you all. Thanks for being with us. Happy holidays, everybody. Best of the holiday season, and Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. Happy New Year as well, as we are in the midst of the holiday season as this episode is airing. Again, we thank Jeff for being with us here on the show. Truly a class act, a legendary stand-up comedian, magician, actor, and so much more. And we thank all of you for joining us here. It's always a great day when you're with us as well here on the Jim Masters Show. Take care and be well. And again, best of the holidays. We'll be back with another great episode coming up. So watch us while we're here. And again, you can binge watch hundreds of episodes in the archives, including the Pointer Sisters. They were with us as well, right here on our YouTube channel. Take care and be well. We love you all. Cheers.